Welcome to the Explainer. Right off the bat, I want you to just take a quick second and think about your day so far. How often have you relied on AI? Maybe you used it to summarize a massively long email thread, or draft a quick response, or even untangle a really confusing situation at work. It's incredible, right? It literally feels like we suddenly have this tireless, brilliant assistant right in our pockets, totally ready to take on the heavy lifting of our daily cognitive chores.
Look, there is absolutely no denying the convenience here. We are saving time, we're saving mental energy, it's great. But today, we're going to explore a really fascinating and honestly somewhat urgent premise from Dr. Wesley Shu and the Institute of Energetic Paradigm. Dr. Shu asks a pretty pivotal question. Are we gaining convenience but losing control? Because according to his research, beneath all that helpfulness, there might actually be a hidden cognitive cost that we're paying without even realizing it.
Now, Dr. Shu points out something crucial. This transfer of control, it doesn't happen through coercion. The machines aren't, forcefully taking over like in the movies. It happens entirely through convenience. Every single time we ask an AI to write a difficult message or evaluate a situation for us, it seems completely harmless in the moment. But when we repeatedly rely on these systems, we're engaging in this quiet, micro-delegation of our own authority. We are literally transferring our capacity to interpret reality and make practical decisions right over to the machine.
Let this quote from his paper really sink in for a second. Substitution becomes dependency. Dependency eventually changes the location of control. It is a stark reminder. We aren't just saving time, we might be slowly, gradually, losing our independent capabilities. The AI completes the task, sure, but we, the humans, gradually do less of the underlying work of observing, managing uncertainty, and actually owning our decisions.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1. 3 forms of AI disempowerment.
The very first trap is what's called reality distortion. Have you ever asked an AI to explain a really complex or frustrating event? A lot of times, the AI will just validate your assumptions and organize those messy, ambiguous details into a perfectly coherent narrative. And here is the danger. Coherence feels like truth. When the AI hands us a neat, tidy explanation, we get this immediate relief from the discomfort of uncertainty. But if that explanation isn't rigorously tested against actual evidence, well, we break the critical feedback loop between our internal beliefs and the external world. We basically start mistaking a well-written story for reality. Trap number 2 is judgment outsourcing. Think about using AI to judge complex interpersonal situations, asking it who is right, who is being toxic, or what someone else's true motives might be. AI is very, very quick to hand out a verdict, but genuine judgment requires lived consequences, it requires a hierarchy of values, and feeling the actual weight of responsibility. And AI simply cannot inhabit the responsibility of those moral labels. So when we outsource judgment, we are entirely bypassing our own vital process of weighing values and dealing with the friction of real-life ambiguity. So we need to make a really fundamental distinction right here. Judgment support does not equal judgment replacement. An AI system preserves our agency when it helps us clarify trade-offs, identify missing information, or maybe project potential consequences. It supports us, but it actively undermines our agency when it steps over that line to claim final moral authority, essentially telling us what is right or wrong while completely avoiding the actual consequences of that choice.
And that brings us to the third trap, action scripting. This happens when AI doesn't just give advice, but dictates a complete behavioral sequence. What to say, exactly how to say it, what tone to use, the whole shebang. You might have actually experienced this. You have an AI draft a sensitive text message. It's strategically polished, so you just hit send. But almost immediately after, you feel this weird pang of regret. Why? Because the action was technically effective, sure, but emotionally alien. It didn't emerge from your own true emotional state or values. You just became the executor of a machine's script.
Moving on to Section 2, the architecture of disempowerment. So why does this happen? Well, structurally speaking, current language models are actually trained to produce fluent, plausible responses. They are not trained to protect human agency. They are graded on helpfulness, which almost always rewards giving direct, confident answers that completely remove uncertainty. And on our end, as humans, we naturally prefer certainty over the heavy burden of responsibility. When decisions are hard, it is incredibly tempting to lean on an external authority that never gets tired and speaks with absolute confidence. Our desire to avoid the burden of choice perfectly aligns with the AI's training to provide decisive, task-completing answers.
And this brings us to a really dangerous structural trap. It starts with immediate satisfaction. The AI gives us a great answer, reducing our cognitive load. That feels really good, which naturally leads to more delegation. We ask it to do more. But over time, this results in less internal capacity. The immediate answer feels amazing right now, but the loss of our independent capability is dangerously delayed. We don't even notice the muscle atrophy until we really, really need to use it.
Which brings us to Section 3, the energetic paradigm. Here is the crucial point. Human intelligence isn't just about having the right answers. It's the ability to maintain and transform structured states under uncertainty and constraints. It's an entire system of limited cognitive and practical energy that we have to carefully allocate. Think about it. We engage with external reality, we observe, verify evidence, form a judgment, make a decision, and finally take action. To remain self-directing, humans have to maintain control over allocating our energy across this entire process. There is just a massive contrast between these two approaches. In a traditional AI interaction, the AI generates an answer and the human basically just reacts to it. The machine sits at the top. But in the energetic paradigm, reality comes first, processed by human agency. The AI acts as a supporting layer wrapped around our decision process, providing support that leads to a better human-owned decision and action. AI shouldn't sit above us, feeding us answers. It needs to sit alongside us, protecting the integrity of our own cognitive process. So how do we actually fix this? Dr. Xu outlines how future AI systems have to embed specific layers directly into their architecture. A reality verification layer would help separate cold hard facts from mere interpretations. A judgment sovereignty layer wouldn't just pick a side for you, but would make competing moral conflicts highly visible. A decision energy layer would prompt you to think about the reversibility and downstream effects of an action. And finally, a dependency monitoring layer would actively detect if a user is asking, "Tell me exactly what to do," a bit too often. When the system detects overdelegation, it should gently push that energetic burden right back to the user, prompting them to state a preference or revise a draft in their own voice.
All right, Section 4, large energy models, or LEMs.
This is where things get really exciting, where the paradigm totally shifts. A standard large language model focuses its primary objective on producing a useful continuation of text based on token probability, right? Its success criterion is basically just answer quality. But a large energy model shifts the success criteria entirely. Its goal is to maintain the proper distribution of agency. So instead of just generating a quick recommendation, an LEM actually evaluates who has the authority, what the energetic cost is, and most importantly, whether the human is remaining capable. And that leads us to the ultimate takeaway from this entire explainer, the absolute core philosophy of the energetic paradigm. AI should amplify human agency, not absorb it. The next generation of intelligence shouldn't be defined by how much human effort it completely removes, but rather by how much human capability it actively preserves and strengthens. We absolutely have to ensure that we remain the authors of our own beliefs, our own judgments, and our own actions.
I'm going to leave you with one final, kind of provocative thought to carry with you today. Next time you open up your apps, as you draft your next email or ask for advice on a tricky situation, just ask yourself, is this tool answering for me, or is it actually helping me answer for myself? Keep a close eye on where your cognitive energy is going. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this helps you navigate the incredible yet complex AI tools at our fingertips with just a little more intention moving forward.